being in the presence of God, allowing God into your home and your heart and your mind and your spirit is the greatest way to always feel peace of mind. That's the cheat code. I'm giving y'all the cheat code. I'm I'm giving y'all the cheat code. I've always been told I have so much to say. And the truth is, I do. Believe it or not, my parents told me that I was a pretty mute child, mindlessly following my older sister around, sucking my thumb, and twirling just one specific curl in my hair. They said it probably wasn't until kindergarten until I stepped in a Mylah of lots of thoughts, ideas, concerns, and things to say. And honestly, since then, I haven't really stopped talking. It's funny because my mother to this day also says that I always have an opinion on something. I always have a thought on how to enhance something or make something feel better, appear better. And that's really just my nice way of telling y'all that she says I'm bossy all the time. I can remember experiencing the intimate presence of God as early as like 13. And since then, God and I have been locked in, constantly in communication. And most people that know me know that probably the most important thing in my life is my faith. Over the last few years, God has been on me about bringing more people into our daily conversations. And it's something I've tried to avoid for a while, but as I've shared before, you can't run from what God wants you to do. So here I am creating a space for believers and non-believers to come and have a better understanding of what it feels like to have God in your home. When I say your home, I mean your mind and where you dwell. The Neighborhood is not your average Christian podcast. It's me sharing my thoughts on my faith, the things that I believe enhance life overall, the things I know to bring me joy, and just the ease that comes into your life, especially in your mental health when you choose to invite God into your home. Welcome to the Neighborhood. Everyone wants to be somewhere that feels like the right fit. Every day when I leave my house to go to work, I'm dreaming about coming home. I'm dreaming about getting back to my space and my sofa where I know where things are, where I know I'm going to feel safe, where I know that the things in that space are designed to support me. That's how I want to think about faith. When you come back home to yourself and back to your faith, you're refreshed, you have new ideas, you're calmer. The time with God really allows you to sit and reflect and analyze how you're going to take the next step. And one thing I love so much about God is that He will totally put a calm spirit over you. Whatever the things were that were making you anxious or making you feel overwhelmed, when you reset and come back to yourself with God, it allows you to step back into the world a better version of yourself, a calmer version of yourself, a more healed version of yourself, a wiser version of yourself, a more confident version of yourself. Those are all of the things. And what is faith? What do you mean, Mylah? What is faith? I feel like everyone has a different idea of what faith is, but the overarching theme of what faith is trusting and believing that there is a higher power that's always working things out on your behalf. Faith is believing that things are going to work out for you, even when it doesn't look like things are aligning. I often hear folks say that faith is when you walk by believing and not by sight. Okay, you don't see the things aligning the way you may want them to align. However, you have the hope and you have the belief that things are working out on your behalf already. That's what faith is. And that's what I want you to think about as your home, as a part of the neighborhood entity. Whenever I'm approached about what my faith means to me or what's the most important pillar of my faith, I always go back to Matthew 22:38. Jesus is asked, what is the most important thing we should take away from this whole thing? The first thing he says is love God Put no one else before God. The second thing he says is love thy neighbor as thyself. Then he follows up and says, these are the most important things out of everything you need to know. That's what I stand on as a human being, as a Christian, as a woman, as a person. Love thy neighbor as thyself. What does that mean? It means that the way that you expect someone to treat you is the way in which you treat someone else. It's such a simple concept, but somehow we didn't got it really confused, and that just kind of honestly blows my mind. As a girly who has always loved God and also loved the world, I've experienced firsthand what it feels like to be excluded from the faith and excluded from certain communities. I know what it feels like to hear the narrative, you can't love God or be or do or like or enjoy. I know that firsthand. I've been in choirs where I've been excluded for enjoying Beyonce, or wanting to join prayer groups where I was excluded because I believe love is love. It's just this constant feeling of other people trying to make you feel not good enough. And it's weird. And that's not what we're doing over here at the neighborhood. That's not what we're doing. I had to really think about and understand that God knows me. God knows the things that bring me joy. God knows my heart. God knows the things that I'm going to do and choose to do in my lifetime, and still somehow thinks I'm so special. And God knows you. God knows the ins and outs of your heart. God knows the things that bring you joy. God knows the things that you yearn for or lean into. He knows all those things. And our relationships with God are our relationships with God. And there's just a certain demographic of folks who just can't handle that. They want this control to try and regulate how you live your life and what you do. And it's just not what that's about. I'm not saying that we aren't intended to serve God in a certain capacity. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is we all have our own journeys on our faith. God convicts all of us of things differently. Things that I may struggle with, you may not struggle with. And things that you may struggle with, I might not struggle with. God has something different that he is doing a work in all of us in. Not all of us are going to be called to the same things in this life. And that's one thing that makes the neighborhood in our faith and community beautiful. That's what makes it beautiful. So as a person who knows what that feels like to be left out and excluded because of this and that and the other, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And when I think about it, I'm like, who do people think they are? Who do y'all think y'all are trying to tell people that they're going to heaven or hell? Since when did God give y'all the access to do that? You think it's helpful and it's not. It's harmful. It's so harmful. And it's weird. It's weird. Cut it out. Stop that. Every episode, I'm going to leave y'all with some type of question that I want you to think on, reflect on, and if you feel comfortable enough to share it with me. What is something that has made you feel as if God can't love you? Whether it's an experience in your life, a part of your identity, something you enjoy. What is something that you have already taken yourself out of trying to get in the neighborhood because you feel like, that's not going to work for me? And sometimes it's probably going to be hard to think about that thing. A lot of times it's attached to trauma. A lot of times it might be attached to an experience in your life that you might not necessarily want to dig into. So tread lightly when thinking about it. But if you have the capacity, I want you to think about a time in your life or something that has allowed you to form the idea that for some reason God doesn't love you and think you're special and perfect and want you to be a part of his neighborhood. Think about that. If you feel comfortable enough sharing, reach out. And if it's just something that you want to keep in your heart space, just between you and God, that's beautiful as well. The acknowledgement of something is always the door opener to going deeper into healing. I'm sure we've all felt like at some point in our lives that there's one specific person that makes us feel like home. I'm guilty of it. And the reality is, no human can ever really fulfill the space of making you feel like home. The greatest space you will ever feel the most at home and comfortable and safe, and know that being in the presence of that being makes you feel secure and that they're reliable. All those signs point to God. God is the only thing that can fulfill all those desires, that can always make you feel comfortable, that can always make you feel seen, that can always make you feel safe, that can always make you feel at ease. Being in the presence of God, allowing God into your home and your heart and your mind and your spirit is the greatest way to always feel peace of mind. That's the cheat code. I'm giving y'all the cheat code. I'm I'm giving y'all the cheat code. Let God in your home. Let God in your home. And watch how fast things start to change. On this season of The Neighborhood, we're going to dive into some different topics. All bite-sized things, all things that are going to be approachable and build a little curiosity. The neighborhood is intended for you to become a little bit more curious about God and understanding what the hype is about. That's all we're doing here. I want this to be approachable. I want you to feel comfortable knowing that if you're my neighbor and I'm your neighbor, then we can create that safe space for one another. Thanks for coming to The Neighborhood. Everybody's invited here. So bring a friend, tell a friend, and come back and see us for the next episode.